On this week's Singapore Green Plan Challenge, Singapore is making plans for an energy reset as part of the Singapore Green Plan 2030. As a nation, we have a strategy to reduce carbon emissions and employ cleaner energy sources across all sectors.
But apart from those impressive and ambitious plans laid out by companies in Singapore and the government,
residents can also get in the act in creating an energy reset. I'm Fadli.
and I'm Jermaine.
This is the CNA Green Plan Challenge.
According to recent data, Singapore ranks 27th out of 142 countries in terms of carbon emissions produced. That's quite a lot for a small city. Close to 15% of those emissions come from transportation. That's cars, taxis, motorcycles and buses. Public transportation is key to reducing carbon emissions. Are buses and trains the only options we have?
I am at Ang Mo Kio, Singapore's first model walking and cycling town. And to be honest, that's my kind of town. Ang Mo Kio has a cycling network that covers about 20 kilometers, making it one of the longest cycling networks in any residential town here in Singapore.
And soon, every home in Ang Mo Kio will be just a 5-minute walk to the nearest cycling path when the entire network is completed by 2026. But with such good access to public transportation and the cycling infrastructure, why do people still drive?
Doing sales, so I need a car. No car, how to work?
Car has an add-on and you don't have to squeeze.
I find that cycling actually takes up quite a lot of my time. I would actually rather just take Grab, to be honest. Because Grab is much faster.
To encourage more residents to switch to walking, cycling or riding public transport, the CNA Green Plan team has organised a little experiment.
And it's going to be fun! Welcome to the Ang Mo Kio Walk, Cycle, Ride Festival!
Our hosts will be getting residents to experience the town's efficient transport system firsthand on bikes.
Let's go!
I'm going to be a quiz master at some of today's checkpoints and I'll be asking them questions about cycling rules. If they get it correct, they get a sticker.
Friends from the local cycling group My Bike Group will observe cyclists' behaviours as they ride along the route. Residents will be taught some cycling etiquette and also gain some biking tips from the pros.
All right, let's go. 3, 2, 1, and go!
Okay, go ahead, Vincent.
Have fun, be safe.
Thanks.
Transport Minister S. Iswaran is joining us for the ride today.
Okay, so I have a question here for you today. If you look at the board over here, what does this hand signal mean? Does it mean A, give way, B, slow down, or C, stop?
I think it's a trick question. I think actually it's high five, right? No, it's not.
What do you think it is?
I think it's C, stop.
C, stop.
I second her.
The answer C, stop, is absolutely right. Congratulations. Let's get you some stickers.
Excellent, great weather, nice pathways, met a lot of people, fun.
How was your whole experience?
It was amazing! And we learned about the cycling limit on footpaths 10 kilometers per hour. Did you know that while cycling, you can lose up to 600 calories, equivalent to 1 plate of nasi lemak. So after cycling, you can eat nasi lemak.
I think it's very bike friendly, the route that we took, and it was pretty seamless, yeah, and it was quite safe.
I enjoyed the ride. I get to learn about the ramp that go up like the overhead bridge. I'm not supposed to cycle, I have to push it up.
Today, I am joined by our green coaches, Mark and Pearson. What do you think about the cyclists who just participated today?
Today, we see a very wide spectrum of cyclists, as young as a 3-year-old girl.
Yep.
Some of them are just starting to cycle. They are willing to learn. Yeah. So I think they are good.
Now, with all that has been learned, the residents at Ang Mo Kio are called to take up a challenge.
We want everyone from Ang Mo Kio to walk, cycle and ride on public transportation as part of their daily commute, either for work or for leisure.
Instead of using their cars or motorcycles. And you know what, Jermaine? Walking and cycling is also a sure way of getting some exercise into my day too.
That's right, it's another benefit of a walk, cycle, ride lifestyle.
A few Ang Mo Kio residents have answered the call to take part in our car-lite challenge. We'll see how many car or motorcycle journeys they can replace with walk, cycle and ride commutes over a week.
I usually drive to office and then commute to different office. I'm planning to walk to office, see how I'm able to sustain my daily work. I haven't walked to office yet. I don't know how tough it is or how easy it is, depends on whether rain, shine. Right now, I'll say 50-50.
I work mainly from home, but I also have numerous meetings. I use my car frequently for these meetings, but for this week, I use the bicycle whenever it's possible to prove to myself that being car-lite is not that difficult.
I will use my motorcycle to work, and sometimes when I meet up with my friends, for this challenge, I will take a public transport to work. Not sure if I can finish it. I will try my best.
Let's take a look at how day one of the challenge is turning out for our participants.
I already checked the bus apps. The bus is arriving soon, so I hope I will not be late to work.
And next, Jane will be walking to his office back and forth for the first time.
It's around 40 minutes walks to my office. Let's see if I can make it. Hope for the best.
For Robert, cycling is not new to him, but he is planning to cycle to work for the first time. Green Coach Mark will be sharing some tips with him.
Morning, Dr. Liu.
Morning, Mai. How are you?
Yeah. Nice meeting you.
You too. Today's journey involves cycling all the way from here to Raffles Place. I've got to reach the office looking cool and calm and collected. There are 3 bikes here. Which one do you think I should use?
Because the distance is going to be maybe close to 20 kilometers, so I would guess the mountain bike could be more comfortable because it got some suspension on it and it's light.
If we take the road, I've calculated if you cycle at a pace of 20 kilometers an hour,
Yes.
on the average, it will take about 45 minutes.
In that case, you may need to take the MRT.
Okay.
Yeah, there'll be a wiser choice to make. You don't have to look so tired and sweaty when you arrive at your destination. So the smaller bike will do and just go by the MRT. Just ride carefully, have a safe distance, obey the traffic rules. I think you'll be fine, it's okay.
Today's journey is a little bit tight. I need to get there well within an hour. I've decided to take the bike halfway or part of the way to the MRT, take the MRT straight to Raffles Place.
Fadli is at the Sentosa Express station at Vivo City. And he's here to see whether Azmi is experiencing withdrawal symptoms on day 1 of the car-lite challenge.
For me, it's very smooth. The good thing, I can listen to music, relax, and take a nap lah.
I think that's good also to start the day, feeling all fresh and all.
Yeah.
Okay, Azmi, thank you so much. Have a good day at work, yeah?
On the other side of the island, Jane has finally reached his office.
It takes around 40 minutes for me to walk from my home all the way here. It was exhausting. You can see my shirt is all wet and I'm tired. Initially I thought I may not be able to do it, but after walking today I realized that I can do it.
Dr. Liu has also reached his destination. He took a total of 40 minutes for the whole journey.
So if I had taken the car, I think it would have taken at least 30 minutes, including finding the parking. But today, it did take only about 10 minutes longer than driving here, and it was a lot more pleasant. So I would say taking the bike and the MRT is a much better solution.
Singapore aims to encourage more residents to commute via public transport as it is more environmentally friendly than driving a car. So it's making it more convenient to walk or cycle to public transport hubs like MRT stations and bus interchanges. More than 200 kilometers of covered linkways, around 500 kilometers of cycling paths, and more than 300 kilometers of park connectors have been built.
So I think every project is an opportunity to learn, because as we implement, we discover new things, and we are able to then take that and apply it to other projects subsequently. So in the case of Ang Mo Kio, for example, one of the lessons was about how you can have the separation of cycling paths in a more clear way, so that cyclists and pedestrians can deconflict and they can use the pathways well.
By 2030, Singapore's rail network will increase to about 360 kilometers. The Thomson East Coast Line will be in operation with 32 stations by then. Soon, residents can get around the city in 45 minutes or less on an inclusive transport ecosystem in a healthier, cleaner and greener environment.
This has really been an important opportunity for us to rethink our approach towards mobility and commuting. Some say that this has been the golden era of cycling because people have rediscovered the joys of cycling and so on. And the important thing is, what we want to ensure is some of the beneficial outcomes last long beyond the pandemic.
Sustainable commuting not only helps us to save money, but also improves health and reduces the negative impact on the environment. It's countless benefits for everyone.
We are at the midway point of our 7 days car-lite challenge, and I'm about to check in with our residents over at Ang Mo Kio to see how they are doing so far. Are they confident enough that they can actually complete the challenge? Let's find out. Morning, Mr. Jane.
Fadli, how are you, man?
How are you?
I'm good.
Where are you heading to right now?
I'm going to the market.
Market? How far is it from here?
Maybe around 10 minutes walk.
It's actually raining right now, so...
It is sheltered all the way.
Do you mind if I tag along?
Of course, no problem.
Okay, shall we?
Let's go.
It appears that this car-lite challenge has made Jane pay more attention to the walking infrastructure in his neighborhood, such as covered walkways and newly installed lifts at overhead bridges. These help connect residents to bus stops and MRT stations, as well as a range of amenities.
And that's the coffee shop.
So has it been difficult or easy for you?
It's quite good. I mean, you get to walk, you sweat a lot, you don't need to change clothes every time. But yeah, I think it's good. It's for your health, right? So, and you see Singapore public transport is quite good, right? Very convenient.
Yeah.
If you can, why not? So I'm enjoying it a lot and I'm confident I'll be able to do it.
And Fadli goes on to check on Dr. Liu and his wife, Stephanie.
Thank you so much, Dr. Liu, Dr. Stephanie, for being with us. Probably I can share with us, how has the car-lite challenge been for the both of you?
Fabulous for her, challenging for me.
Public transport's wonderful. It's been great to be able to ride the bike, to connect to buses.
We used to take the car to get our groceries, but now that we discovered that with a huge backpack on me and on her, so that we look like packed horses, and some bike baskets, we can actually manage everything, both of us going there at once.
Singapore is so beautiful and everything's green along the way, and it's really a beautiful thing to be able to cycle where you need to go.
Probably one day I'll see you both on the park connectors.
Sure.
And probably Mr. Muffin as well.
Yes,
Mr. Muffin
yes, he'll be
goes
there.
everywhere.
Yes.
It has been a few days since Azmi started taking public transport to work. Can he complete the challenge?
Okay, Azmi, how has it been for the car-lite challenge so far for you?
So far, okay for me. It's not that big challenge. I take a public transport to work. Yeah, in the same times when on my off day, I cycle to nearby market. Compare taking public transport, it's not stressful lah. But for taking motorcycle, I need to plan my road. It's a bit stressful when more to heavy traffic.
Green commuting is fun, eco-friendly and good for your health and well-being. Now, the question you need to ask yourself is, do you have the courage to leave your cars behind and take up more sustainable commutes?
A tough question for some of us, but remember, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Get on your bike, walk, or even take public transport, or combine walking, riding, and cycling into your daily commute. You too can play your part in Singapore's energy reset.
So Fadi, I have a question for you. Do you know how much energy you consume at home?
At times, I'm still guilty of not switching off the chargers. I can do better, definitely. How about yourself?
I think I also can do better. Because sometimes, right, when I'm watching the TV, I'll be on my phone at the same time. So I really think we could all be more conscious of the amount of energy we're using in our homes.
Truth is, many of us are probably not too conscious about the amount of energy we consume at home. With the modern conveniences we enjoy, it is easy to use more energy than is required, leaving behind a larger carbon footprint than intended. In 2020, Singapore's electrical energy consumption for households was 8.2 terawatt hours. This is equivalent to 8.2 trillion light bulbs lighting up at the same time. As part of the Singapore Green Plan 2030, Singapore targets to reduce national energy consumption by more than 8 million megawatt hours per year. An ambitious target and one that requires an entire nation's effort. And it starts in our own homes.
I'm at Pasir Ris, and today I've set up a little experiment to find out how much people know about the energy consumption of appliances in their homes and how to use them more efficiently. This show flat is designed to discover how much people know about the power consumption of their household appliances and how to use them more efficiently. So to help the public better understand their energy use, CNA has created a life-size show flat at this multi-purpose hall in Pasir Ris, where the public can enter and rank the top 8 electrical appliances in terms of energy consumption. So you should cover liquids and foods in the refrigerator because uncovered items actually release moisture, forcing the compressor to work harder. I never knew that. It ranks at number 2. Let's see if I can actually rank these appliances in terms of energy consumption. I know what's number 1, air conditioner. I'm gonna do washing machine at number 2 because I feel like it uses a lot of electricity. And perhaps refrigerator at number 3, water heater at number 4, television, lighting, kitchen appliances, and fan. Here we go. I got 3 out of 8 points. Oh no! I need to educate myself a little bit more. So have you seen anything or learned anything that, was kind of shocking for you so far?
We didn't realize that aircon is the appliance that uses up the most electricity. We didn't realize that it's 36%.
So what's a tip that maybe you saw that is quite useful for you?
A ceiling fan is much more efficient than a standing fan.
The aircon turning on in the night, maybe few hours, we can turn off in the morning itself because aircon is the highest consumption.
I will use more fan than aircon and of course use less heater also. I was shocked that heater was ranked number 2.
So I would have thought that washing machine is also one of the bigger culprits. I'm shocked the washing machine is not very high compared to the heater.
I actually found the whole exhibition fun and interesting. Like if you're not really watching the television, you should just off it. And I watch television a lot at home.
We have already been using the fan and opening the windows, but the kids sulk and whine. So now with this drive, it will get them to realize that, what we are doing is the right thing.
Now that everyone is fully charged with newfound knowledge about energy consumption, Jermaine is not letting this go to waste.
They're going to put what they've learned to the test. I'm putting them on a 1-month challenge to see how much energy they can actually save. Welcome residents of Block 231 and 232. I would ask you guys to guess, right? How much power do you think your block uses? He's really counting. He's doing it very seriously.
No, about 4,000 over kilowatt.
Let's have a look. So Block 231, you guys use 41,345.42 kilowatts hour for November. And Block 232, is 41,355.51 kilowatts hour. So does that sound like a lot to you?
Yeah.
So we're actually going to have both blocks come together and see who can reduce your energy usage over the period of 1 month. Do you think you can do it?
Yeah!
Yes, there we go.
Looks like it's going to be a showdown in the town. Residents from these 2 blocks will be getting some tips from our green coach on how to be more energy efficient. At the end of the month, we'll find out which block emerges as the winner.
So this is better than me always telling them, switch off the light, reduce the water consumption, shower quickly.
We are going to talk to all our neighbors and get them to follow what are the instruction is and lower down our electrical consumption for the whole block. I'm ready for the block challenge.
It's a brand new morning here on the eastern side of Singapore at Pasir Ris Drive 4. And today, the competition between blocks 231 and 232 begins. But first, let's take a peek into the lives of some of our residents in this competition. Melody, together with her husband Ben, are both working from home. As working parents of 2 young children, aged 4 years old and 6 months old, life is almost like a non-stop action film. With so many things demanding their time and attention, convenience and comfort are of the essence here.
We have 2 fans here, so one is for the dining area and the other one here is for the living space. The standing fan is specifically for this play area. Unfortunately, when they play here, they are not able to, get the ceiling fans. That's why we have to buy a standing fan to specifically, point it this way.
Over at Carvies, it's a full house here with 5 adults and 2 growing children. Interestingly, although no one is working from home, energy consumption seems rather high in this household.
I have always been like the security guard in the family. I'm going around doing checks. Even in broad daylight, they on the light. When they leave the room, they don't switch off. I have to tell them, please go back to the room and check because I know that the light will be on. So sometimes there are days where the central heater switch is on for more than half a day, which is quite a bit of energy being used.
And here, we have Peng Tim, who lives with his wife who has always been conscious about his energy usage. Having all his lights switched to LED a few years back and switching off appliances were not in use. Besides these changes residents are making at home, our buildings are undergoing some massive adjustments. By 2030, Singapore seeks to reduce energy usage in HDB towns by 15%. This is done by greening our buildings. One way to do it is to have more solar panels to be installed on HDB blocks and government sites.
Singapore Green Building Master Plan set out 3 key targets. The first target is to green 80% of our buildings by gross floor area by 2030. The second target is to have 80% of new developments to be super low energy building from 2030. The third target is to have 80% energy efficiency improvement for the best-in-class green building by 2030.
To date, more than 50% of HDB blocks have been fitted with or identified for solar panel installations. By 2030, this figure will increase to 70%. And while changes to our infrastructure towards a greener Singapore may take a little longer, it is up to us to make a difference where we are today. Jacqueline, our green coach, is here to shed some light on how the residents at Pasir Ris could be more energy efficient.
Hi, Melody. Hi. Thank you for having us. Oh, no worries.
What a beautiful home. I can see that you actually have a lot of appliances on in the house itself. Yeah. So do you make a conscious effort to off it and then to remove the appliance from the pocket socket?
No, we do not.
So the thing about electrical appliances is if you don't use it, but it remains plugged into the power socket, it is still drawing what we call the standby power, and that contributes up to 10% of the electricity bill itself. So do try and make a conscious effort to actually off it and remove the appliances from the power socket.
I didn't know that. So maybe Jacqueline and I can take a look around and see what are some advice or some tips that we can actually give you to help lower down the energy consumption.
Okay, sure.
Lead the way.
realize that your aircon is on?
Yes.
That is also one of the key appliances in an average household that consumes a lot of energy. Yeah. Do you set it to the optimum temperature of 25 degrees?
Yes, we do.
Okay, that's very good.
Next up, let's pop over to Kavi's.
So this is my kitchen, and you can have a look around.
I actually spot one thing that I learned that consumes quite high energy is actually the airport that you have over here.
Yes, that's correct. Do you actually keep the airport on all the time?
Yes.
Okay.
24/7.
Okay, because this is an appliance that actually consumes quite a lot of energy. Instead of using the airport turn on 24/7, you could actually transfer the hot water into a thermal flask so that the water can remain hot.
One of the main problems that I have in our household is getting the kids to switch off the central heater after using it.
Kids? Why is that so? But you have to help mommy out, right?
So if you look at your elect consumption, it's currently actually above the national and your neighbour average itself. So definitely there's room for improvements.
It's been 2 weeks since the start of our challenge. Our residents in Pasir Ris have been doing their best to lower their energy consumption. Nonetheless, the race is on for these 2 blocks. Who will emerge as the winner?
I'm about to check in with our residents over at Pasir Ris to see how they're actually doing after receiving tips from Jermaine and the Green Coach. Are they really confident that the blocks are going to win? Let's find out.
Hi. Hi, Jacqueline.
Do you happen to have done something differently?
Yes, definitely. What I did was, since my kids have a problem remembering to switch off the water heater, I did a sign just beneath the switch so that it's obvious, so they remember to switch off. The other thing is we realized that we really didn't need a 3-liter airpot that has to be on for 24/7. We did away with it and we did a hot pot kettle. So we boil water and then we store it in a vacuum flask.
I want to really congratulate this family. Daily average consumption actually fell. So we do see a reduction. So I hope they can keep up the good work.
Right, looks like Mrs. Kavi is on track with your energy consumption, and looking at things, I think definitely we in the near future we will see a whole lot difference.
And now over to Melody's house, where she and her husband have their hands full with 2 young children.
She's hoping that it decrease. Let's hear it from you now.
We see a slight increase instead of reduction. And we realize on a daily basis there are basically 2 blocks of peak period for your household. The first one is actually in the morning, and then the next one is actually about 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m.
During the evening time, I think it's because we have to put one child to bed in each room. So we actually switch on the aircons at the same time. So perhaps these could have caused the increase during those hours, yeah.
Have you tried using the fans instead?
So there's one change we did make was to actually fix our ceiling fan in the master bedroom. It was actually spoiled. So we actually thought that that would help a bit with the energy consumption.
I think, Melody, you've just did something in a way. It's a good start. If you keep this on, we will definitely see a decrease in the energy consumption, yeah? I have to say, I have to commend the efforts of both Mrs. Kavi and Melody. Mrs. Kavi, she listened to all the tips that was given and she input her own method into making her children remember to actually switch off all the switches in the household. As for Melody, even though there might be a slight increase, I have to commend Melody for fixing a ceiling fan. Even though it's just a slight difference, but the effort is still there.
Speaking about effort, Peng Tim, who has been really conscious about his energy consumption, is really putting in the effort to offer his neighbours some tips on how to save energy.
如果我们全部换去 LED 的话，有可能我们会赢得他们的。
And Peng Tim hopes that a victory will inspire others in the community to power down their homes. While households play an important role in reducing Singapore's energy consumption, businesses also need to do their part to help the country meet its energy reset targets. With office buildings being a key culprit in high energy consumption, businesses and developers have been exploring ways to be power savers. As the first commercial building in Singapore to be certified zero energy by the Building and Construction Agency, The Keppel Bay Tower is definitely lighting the way for many others to follow. The tower has been retrofitted to become a zero-energy building. This means the building can generate as much energy as it consumes. It generates energy through solar panels, and for any shortfalls, it makes up for it by purchasing renewable energy certificates. It conserves energy through an high-efficiency air distribution system, an innovative cooling tower water management system, and smart LED lighting solutions. But innovation is only part of the solution. To truly deliver an energy reset, there must also be changes in our mindset. And that's what our challenge in Pasir Ris has been all about. We're now at the 1 month mark.
Okay, so before the big reveal, let me just ask, how do you guys think you guys actually did?
For Block 232, we got confident to do it.
I like the spirit. Block 231, okay, your energy consumption was 41,345.42 kilowatt hour.
And for this past month, it is 42,110.35 kilowatt hour. Looks like there's been a slight increase.
Block 232, now for November, your energy consumption was 41,355.51 kilowatts hour. Now let's see, what is it gonna be? It went down! 40,257.71 kilowatts hour. And therefore, Block 232, you are the winners of this challenge! How do you feel about this?
Very nice and very happy where we know that our whole block do a good job on that and reduce all the energy.
Very encouraged because the kids put in quite a bit of effort.
And once again, congratulations, residents of Block 232. Round of applause.
Thank you.
Good job.
Individual households play an important role in mitigating climate change, and this can be done by adopting energy-saving habits or by investing in energy-efficient appliances.
These acts go a long way in helping Singapore's energy conservation efforts, and we hope that our challenge here in Pasir Ris has inspired you to make a positive environmental impact.
An energy reset is underway in Singapore, with the focus on using clean energy to fuel the city. Public transportation or walking, cycling, or a combination of those three modes might be more energy-efficient ways to get around the city. But cars might be necessary for some trips and for some of us. The good news is, cars are already going through an energy reset of their own.
The world is beginning to recognize the need for greener transportation.
If cars were electric, there'll be no more exhaust emissions, and soon more of them will be powered by clean and renewable energy.
In fact, there's nearly 1 million vehicles on Singapore's roads, and the vision is for all of them to run on cleaner energy in about 20 years.
Totally. Now, I'm about to head to a town to see whether Singaporeans are ready for an EV revolution.
Jurong West will be one of the first HDB towns in Singapore to be EV ready.
By the year 2025, all HDB car parks here in Jurong West will be equipped with EV charging points. So with infrastructure rolling out this quickly, drivers might already start asking themselves, are they prepared to be making the switch?
We're here at Jurong Spring Community Club. We'll be getting people to learn a bit more about EVs and the future of EVs in Singapore. There are schemes and rebates now that lower the cost of ownership. An early adoption incentive and a reduced additional registration fee help lower the upfront costs of EV ownership. There are also savings when it comes to running an EV.
Electricity cost is definitely much lower than petrol. So the running cost in this case will be lower as well for an electric vehicle.
EVs are gradually becoming more competitive compared to ICE cars, those with internal combustion engines, and maintaining them could be a breeze.
Very encouraged to see that there's going to be more charging points that's going to be installed throughout the island. So I think that's going to be something that's going to propel consumers like me to really consider to buy EV later on.
So, what's stopping people from switching to an EV? People we've met tell us it's range anxiety, the fear of running out of power while driving. It's likely drivers would be less anxious about range anxiety soon. By 2030, there'll be 60,000 EV charging points across the city. To help them understand more, we put our drivers in the driver's seat.
When I first started, a few meters or so, a few minutes of my driving, I couldn't really maneuver which one is for what. But once, maybe after a few minutes, I found it is so pleasant and so easy driving.
Surprisingly, the acceleration was very fast, and overall air drive is very smooth. I enjoyed it.
The route involved a leisurely drive around Jurong West and a visit to a charging point at YCH Supply Chain City.
Charging port. So you remove the cap.
People are very used to the idea of going to put in petrol or diesel into their vehicle, but actually recharging, you don't necessarily have to go to recharge your car. It's going to be happening at just normal parking lots. Car parks are going to have at least 1 or 2 EV charging stations. So the destinations people go to just naturally as part of their day are going to be locations where they can add a bit of energy to their car.
The move to electrified transportation is part of a series of initiatives designed to drive change as part of the Singapore Green Plan. Tackling emissions from transport could move the needle significantly for a city like Singapore.
Today, we have about 1 million vehicles in Singapore, and on average, when you compare an internal combustion engine car with an EV car, the emissions halve. Bearing in mind that land transport accounts for about 15% of our national emissions. So a transition from ICE to EVs can make a significant impact on emissions.
Singapore's streets and roads would look and sound very different soon. Singapore aims to phase out vehicles with internal combustion engines by 2040. By that time, most vehicles would run on electricity instead. To support an influx of electric vehicles, Singapore plans to build new infrastructure.
To accelerate the transition to EVs, we want to make it easier for car owners to choose an EV over an ICE vehicle. And we have introduced incentives. These give a rebate of up to $45,000 for an EV purchase. We must put in place regulations for the use of EV chargers. We want to ensure that the EV charging operators have the right capabilities to install and maintain safe and reliable EV chargers.
Of course, with EVs being relatively new in Singapore, there are always myths to debunk.
How many charging points are targeted to be installed in the western region of Singapore by 2022?
B, more than 140.
Is it safe to charge an electric vehicle when it is raining? A, yes. B, yes, but with special equipment. And C, no. What's your answer?
I don't really think there's a need for special equipment. I think it has been tested when it was raining before and nothing has happened, so I think it's safe to charge it while it's raining.
Risa is really indeed a true champion. She got all questions correct.
Fadli and Jermaine challenged some residents to hand over their ICE cars or motorcycles and to switch to an EV for a week. Venka, 61 years old, is a principal consultant who drives to meet clients every day. And Hashima, 32, is a workplace specialist. She rides to work and has lots of errands to run after work. Before they get the keys to the new rides, Zhiwei from the Hyundai Motor Group Innovation Center in Singapore gives them a crash course on maintaining an EV.
What's the best indication to go and charge, like at which percentage?
There is not exactly a 100% or best indication. For electric vehicle, let's say you saw that your battery level left with 70% and you are actually in a shopping mall doing your groceries. Feel free to plug it in to charge.
What is the cost of charging, say, from 75 to 100%?
Different charging operators has different costs to it. Approximately, if it's from 0 to 100%, that would generally cost you around $40.
The challenge seems to be off to a great start for our residents. Lower costs and perhaps an easier drive.
Driving as such looks like driving a battery-operated toy car. Looks very simple.
In the meantime, another driver has taken up the challenge too. Mr. Tan has been a taxi driver for 18 years. and he's recently decided to switch to an electric one.
Training today is good. I am learned a lot from this. As at least I know that we no need to charge it overnight. We can do it at like short duration of any time of the day. It's much quieter. The pickup is good, very powerful. I think the acceleration also is good, but I still need to slowly to get used to it.
Electric taxis will become more mainstream very soon. ComfortDelGro plans to have up to 400 of these vehicles in its fleet by the end of 2022. It's part of a wider move to electrify as much of the transportation sector as possible. So that includes buses too.
There are several benefits of EV adoption in reducing our greenhouse gas emissions in our fight against climate change. As an early adopter of EV, this will also allow the group to leverage on early adoption incentives, together with lower electricity and energy costs and maintenance costs. Finally, it affords us insights into electric fleet operations, such as fleet management, charging cycle, and electric vehicle maintenance.
Switching gears back to the challenge. Uncle Tan has collected his taxi, an electric one, and after just 1 hour of driving, he's already getting the hang of it. But Tan has questions, so he's planned a little catch-up with an old friend.
For EV, it's something you go and charge. The price is cheaper than diesel, more than 50%. Yeah, driving EV is something like we need to charge. That is the timing for us, but okay, it just take me less than 2 hours below. And driving is really better.
The charging time for me is good because I have more time to rest. Normally, what time you will come to charge? Is it end of the day?
Yes, mostly end of the day. For urgent, maybe my percent is low. I can go to other places and look for the charging station.
It's good to hear all the tips from you. Thank you so much.
Meanwhile, Hashima, who has been driving for a few days now, has become something of an expert.
Okay, cool. Let's go charge this car. I actually drive an EV, but I've never been to one of these charging stations. So how long does it take to charge a car like this?
It depends. So there are two types of charger that I am aware of. There is the AC charger and then there's the DC charger, the fast charger. It could take the car about 40 minutes to get from 20% to I think 80 to 90%. I learned of an app that will show us locations in Singapore that we can find the EV charger. It's called PlugShare. We'll be able to see where's the nearest one to us. So it does show you, I guess, a rough idea of like what the charges are.
Venka, on the other hand, is still getting used to the longer time he needs to charge compared to if he were to refuel his ICE car.
I think it will be a new normal because the time charging here is definitely more than what you will do at a petrol station.
Mr. Tan has made a switch to the EV for his livelihood. Fadli gets the lowdown on how smooth a ride the transition has been for him.
Mr. Tan, you've been driving an EV for about a week now. Can you describe to us your experience?
Yeah, it's very good. I love it very much because it's quiet. The moving is smooth, pickup is fast.
Midway into their 1 week challenge, we asked Paul Welsford to check in on them.
The challenge I faced in this charging is the time taken for charging. To do a charging from 10 to 100%, I think it will take 90 minutes. 1.5 hours with a DC charging, I think it's pretty long.
So the idea is you do not have to go to charge your car, you go about your normal daily business. It just so happens in the places where you normally park, you're able to charge at the same time.
With regards to in an emergency, is there actually a solution to charge if you are stranded?
So in emergencies, yes, there are. So there are services which are available where people can come over to you with a battery pack and to be able to plug into the vehicle to add more charge. I would say, though, that the chances of having a situation where you run out of battery is very unlikely. Has still probably got 75, 80 kilometers of range when you're down at 20%. And so even with that level of distance, you're still able to go quite far in Singapore.
Speaking about going far, as Singapore continues to accelerate the deployment of infrastructure over the next decade, it's likely that the adoption of electric vehicles will pick up speed. With more people plugged into an EV ecosystem, Singapore will be one step closer to meeting its energy reset targets. And following their 2-week test drive, our participants are now charged up to help realize the electric dream.
So it's been 10 days since you started driving this car. How's the experience, being in an EV for the first time?
It's been impressive. It's been really smooth. For a full electric vehicle, I think it has great range. The most compelling reason why I would drive an EV is because I really believe that it's good for the environment.
Definitely, as a global citizen, I would like to have a greener Singapore. That is for sure. That has always been my passion for Singapore. When you convert from combustion engine to EV, it's a lot more quieter. People also will feel much friendly to walk on the roads, etc.
Whether it's making our commute an electric or even a car-lite one, or even going easy on our grid, we can all be part of the great Singapore energy reset, and in doing so, ride into a brighter and cleaner future together. Join us again next week for another episode of the CNA Green Plan Challenge. In the meantime, we would like to congratulate the residents of Ang Mo Kio. Your town is the winner of the CNA Green Plan Online Challenge Energy Reset Edition. Thank you for sharing stories of your green journeys with us.